Have you ever noticed those moments when your mind seems to work against you? Picture this. You're about to start that important project, make that life-changing decision, or simply try to find peace in meditation, but something stops you. It's like an invisible force pulling you back into old patterns, familiar doubts, and comfortable limitations. What if I told you this isn't just your imagination? What if these mental blocks aren't random at all, but part of a deeper pattern that's been unconsciously programmed into your daily experience? Right now, as you watch this video, countless thoughts are flowing through your mind. Some feel like your own, while others seem to come from nowhere. But here's the question that might change everything. How many of these thoughts truly belong to you? Think about the last time you felt absolutely certain about something, only to have that certainty dissolve into doubt. Or when you were filled with motivation and drive, but somehow found yourself doing exactly the opposite of what you intended. These aren't coincidences. They're signs of something far more significant. You see, your mind is like a garden, but instead of flowers and vegetables, it grows thoughts, beliefs, and patterns. And just like any garden, what grows depends on who's doing the planting. The shocking truth is, you might not be the only gardener in your mental space. The collective influences that shape our reality, have been carefully cultivating specific thought patterns in your mind, often without your awareness. These influences range from societal programming to deeper, more subtle forms of mental conditioning that affect how you perceive yourself and your potential. But here's where it gets interesting. Once you understand how this mental programming works, you can begin to take back control. The very system that was designed to limit you can become the key to your liberation. Next, I'm going to share with you ancient wisdom combined with modern understanding that will show you exactly how this mental programming operates, and more importantly, how to reprogram it for your highest good. You'll discover why certain thoughts seem to sabotage your progress, where they really come from, and how to transform them into stepping stones for your evolution. This isn't just another video about positive thinking or manifestation. This is about understanding the invisible architecture of your mind and learning to become its architect rather than its tenant. The truth about your mind is both fascinating and unsettling. At this very moment, you're experiencing only a tiny fraction of what your consciousness is capable of. The rest remains hidden behind a veil that wasn't placed there by accident. Our minds shape our reality in ways most people never realize. Every choice you make, every goal you pursue, and every limitation you accept is filtered through layers of programming that began long before you were conscious of it. This programming runs so deep that most of us mistake it for our authentic selves. Think about your daily routine, the thoughts that arise when you look in the mirror, the internal dialogue that plays when you're faced with a challenge, the automatic responses that kick in during stressful situations. How many of these patterns truly serve your highest good? And more importantly, how many were chosen by you? The system we live in depends on your mind operating in a specific way. It relies on you accepting certain beliefs about your capabilities, your worth, and your place in the world. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a fundamental aspect of how consciousness is shaped by collective influences. Let me share something profound with you. Your mind is like a quantum field of infinite possibilities. In quantum physics, we learn that particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until they're observed. Your thoughts work in a similar way. They exist in a field of potential until they're shaped by observation and belief. But here's where it gets interesting. The observers of your mental quantum field aren't just external forces. They include your own programmed beliefs, societal expectations, and what we might call the collective consciousness. These observers collapse your infinite potential into limited patterns of thought and behavior. The good news? Once you understand this mechanism, you can begin to change the observer. You can shift from being the observed to becoming the observer. This is where true power lies. In this video, we're going to explore how your neural pathways have been shaped to create specific thought patterns, the hidden mechanisms that keep these patterns in place, the quantum nature of consciousness and how it relates to your daily experience, practical techniques to reclaim your mental sovereignty, ancient wisdom that explains these modern challenges, the science behind mental programming and deprogramming. What makes this knowledge so crucial right now? We're living in an age where the battle for your attention, and by extension your consciousness, has never been more intense. Every notification, every headline, every social media update is designed to shape your mental state in specific ways. But remember this: the same system that can limit you also contains the seeds of your liberation. Just as a lock contains within it the mechanism for its own opening, your mind holds the keys to its own freedom. This isn't about fighting against the system or rejecting all influence. It's about becoming conscious of how your mind works so you can choose which influences serve your highest good. It's about transforming from a passive recipient of programming into an active creator of your reality. As we continue, you'll discover that many of your current limitations aren't walls, they're veils. They appear solid only because you've been taught to believe they are. When you understand how these veils are created and maintained, you gain the power to dissolve them. The knowledge I'm about to share combines insights from ancient wisdom traditions, quantum physics, neuroscience, and direct experience. But more than just information, I'm going to give you practical tools you can use immediately to start reclaiming your mental sovereignty. Are you ready to understand how they use your mind against you? More importantly, are you ready to take back control of your consciousness and step into your full potential? Let's begin by looking at the core problem that keeps most people trapped in limited patterns of thinking and being. Let's identify the core challenge we're facing. Right now, billions of thoughts flow through the collective human consciousness. Think of these thoughts as streams of energy, currents in the vast ocean of mind. But here's what most people don't realize. Not all these thoughts originate from their own consciousness. Your mind processes roughly 60,000 thoughts per day. Yet research suggests that about 95% of these thoughts are repetitive patterns, the same thoughts you had yesterday, last week, last month. This isn't natural, it's programmed. It's a form of mental loop that keeps you operating within certain parameters. Consider these common experiences. You set an important goal, feel absolutely committed, then mysteriously lose all motivation. You make a decision to change, but find yourself pulled back into old patterns. You experience moments of clarity and insight, only to have them fade when you try to act on them. You feel a deep knowing that you're capable of more, yet something always seems to hold you back. These aren't random occurrences or personal failings. They're symptoms of what we might call consciousness interference. Just as radio signals can be interrupted or overlaid with static, your natural thought patterns can be influenced and redirected. The system works through several key mechanisms. First, there's the constant bombardment of external stimuli. Your attention is continuously pulled outward, away from your inner knowing. Each distraction, each notification, each manufactured crisis serves to keep you from settling into the deeper layers of your consciousness. Second, there's the implantation of limiting beliefs. These aren't just negative thoughts. They're carefully crafted programs that run automatically in your subconscious. You're not ready. This isn't practical. What will others think? These thoughts feel like your own, but they're actually inserted programs designed to maintain certain behavioral patterns. Third, there's the suppression of natural intuition. You're born with an innate ability to sense truth, to know what's right for you. But this ability gets overshadowed by programmed rational thinking that often serves interests other than your own. Fourth, there's the creation of artificial desires. Many of the things you think you want aren't arising from your authentic self. They're implanted wants designed to keep you chasing external fulfillment rather than internal realization. The most challenging aspect? This programming is self-reinforcing. Each time you act on a programmed thought or belief, you strengthen its hold on your consciousness. It's like walking the same path through a field. Eventually, it becomes a deep groove that's hard to step out of. But perhaps the most insidious aspect is how this programming convinces you it doesn't exist. It makes you think all these thoughts and patterns are your own. It's like a fish not knowing it's in water. The programming becomes so pervasive that it feels like your natural state. What makes this system so effective is that it doesn't rely on force. It works through subtle influence, through the gradual shaping of your perception until you become your own limiting force. You begin to police your own thoughts, restrict your own actions, and doubt your own potential. The result? A kind of mental cage that you can't see or touch, but that affects everything you think, feel, and do. This cage is maintained not through external bars, but through internal programming that makes you the guardian of your own limitations. This is why traditional self-help approaches often fall short. They try to change the content of your thoughts without addressing the underlying system that generates those thoughts. It's like trying to clean a river without addressing the source of pollution. But here's what gives me hope. This system, as sophisticated as it is, has a fundamental weakness. It relies on your unconscious participation. The moment you become aware of how it operates, its power begins to diminish. Just as a spell loses its power when you realize you're under one, mental programming begins to lose its grip when you understand how it works. The solution to mental programming lies in understanding a profound truth. Consciousness precedes all programming. Before any thought, before any belief, before any pattern, there is pure awareness. This is your natural state, your true foundation. Think of your consciousness as the screen on which all thoughts are projected. The screen itself remains unchanged regardless of what images appear on it. In the same way, your true consciousness remains pure and unaffected by the programs running through it. This understanding is the key to your liberation. The science behind this is fascinating. Quantum physics shows us that consciousness itself affects reality at the most fundamental level. When scientists observe quantum particles, the mere act of observation changes their behavior. This reveals a crucial truth. The observer affects the observed. You are not just a passive receiver of reality, you are an active creator. Your brain operates like a sophisticated quantum computer. It doesn't just process information. It creates reality through observation and expectation. The neural pathways in your brain are not fixed. They demonstrate remarkable plasticity, constantly forming new connections based on your focus and attention. Here's where it gets powerful. When you shift from being the program to being the observer of programming, you activate what scientists call the quantum observer effect in your own consciousness. You literally begin to change the behavior of thoughts at their source. Consider these 3 levels of consciousness. Level 1. Programmed consciousness. This is where most people operate. Thoughts run automatically, and you identify completely with them. It's like watching a movie and forgetting you're in a theater. Level 2. Awareness of programming. This is the first step toward freedom. You begin to notice the patterns, the implanted thoughts, the external influences. You start to distinguish between authentic thoughts and programmed responses. Level 3. Creator consciousness. This is where transformation happens. You recognize yourself as the space in which thoughts appear. You become the conscious creator rather than the unconscious creator. The shift between these levels happens through a process I call conscious mental sovereignty. It works because it addresses programming at its root, the point where thoughts first emerge into consciousness. When you operate from creator consciousness, several things happen simultaneously. First, the energy that was trapped in maintaining programmed patterns becomes available to you. This is why people often experience a surge of creativity and vitality when they begin this work. Second, your natural intuition reawakens. As programmed thoughts lose their grip, your innate wisdom becomes more accessible. You begin to know things directly, without the interference of programmed doubt or fear. Third, your brain's neural pathways begin to reorganize. New connections form that support your authentic expression rather than programmed limitations. This is neuroplasticity in action, your brain physically adapting to your expanded awareness. The quantum field of your consciousness begins to stabilize at a higher frequency. This isn't just metaphysical speculation, it's supported by research in neuroscience and quantum biology. Your thoughts literally begin to operate at a different level of coherence. Most importantly, this shift is permanent. Unlike temporary fixes that require constant maintenance, once you understand and embody this truth, you can't go back to unconscious programming. It's like learning to read. Once you know how, you can't unsee the meaning in written words. This is why this approach succeeds where others fail. It doesn't try to fight programming with more programming. Instead, it awakens your natural state of conscious awareness, allowing programmed patterns to dissolve naturally in the light of awareness. Now let's explore the practical method for reclaiming your mental sovereignty. This technique is both simple and profound. Its power lies not in complexity but in consistent application. The core practice, conscious observation. Start by finding a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably with your spine straight but relaxed. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Now, instead of trying to control or change your thoughts, simply observe them. Watch each thought arise like clouds in the sky. Notice, where does the thought come from? What feeling accompanies it? Does it feel like your authentic thought or something external? The key is maintaining the position of the observer. You're not engaging with thoughts or trying to change them. You're simply watching them with awareness. Implementation throughout your day. Morning practice. Upon waking, before engaging with any devices or external input, spend 5 to 10 minutes in observation. Notice the first thoughts that arise. Are they yours or programmed responses? Decision points. When making choices, pause and ask, is this my authentic desire or a programmed want? What part of me is making this decision? Does this align with my true knowing? Pattern recognition. Throughout your day, notice recurring thoughts or reactions. Create a small mental pause between stimulus and response. In this pause, ask, is this a programmed response? What's beneath this reaction? What would my natural response be? Energy management. Pay attention to what energizes or drains you. Often, programmed thoughts and behaviors drain energy, while authentic expressions energize you. Use this as a compass. The reset technique. When you notice yourself caught in programming, use this quick reset. 1. Stop whatever you're doing. 2. Take 1 conscious breath. 3. Feel your physical presence. 4. Return to observer awareness. 5. Then proceed with conscious choice. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all programming. That's impossible and unnecessary. The goal is to become conscious of it so you can choose which programs serve your highest good. The transformation that occurs when you apply these practices consistently is profound and far-reaching. Let me share with you what happens as you reclaim your mental sovereignty. Your relationship with thoughts transforms. Rather than being dragged along by every thought that enters your mind, you develop a natural discernment. You'll notice how some thoughts feel light, expansive, and authentically yours, while others feel heavy, constrictive, and foreign. Sleep patterns naturally improve. Many people report deeper, more refreshing sleep. This happens because your mind is no longer processing and reprocessing programmed thought loops throughout the night. your consciousness can truly rest and rejuvenate. Creativity flows more freely. When your mind isn't constantly occupied with programmed patterns, space opens up for genuine inspiration. Ideas come more easily, and solutions to problems often arise spontaneously. Your energy levels increase significantly. Think about how much energy it takes to maintain programmed patterns, to constantly resist your natural state. As these patterns dissolve, that energy becomes available for living. Relationships improve naturally. As you become more authentic, your connections with others deepen. You'll find yourself responding to situations rather than reacting from programming. This creates space for genuine understanding and communication. Decision-making becomes clearer. Without the noise of programmed doubts and fears, you can access your natural wisdom more easily. Choices become simpler because you can feel what's truly right for you. Physical health often improves. Many people report reduced stress, better digestion, and fewer stress-related symptoms. This makes sense. When your mind isn't fighting itself, your body can function more harmoniously. You'll experience what I call natural confidence. This isn't the programmed confidence that needs constant maintenance. It's the natural state of being that emerges when you're no longer fighting yourself. Your sense of time shifts. Instead of feeling rushed or behind schedule, you begin to experience time more naturally. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time more often without forcing it. Most significantly, you'll experience a deep sense of coming home to yourself. The constant background anxiety that many people live with, the feeling that something's not quite right, begins to dissolve. You realize that what you've been seeking has been here all along. Now, let's address some common questions and doubts that might arise as you begin this practice of mental sovereignty. Isn't this just another form of mind control? Actually, it's the opposite. This practice isn't about controlling your mind. It's about freeing it from external control. You're not adding new programming. You're becoming aware of existing programming so you can choose consciously. What if I lose my drive or ambition? Some worry that becoming aware of programming will reduce their motivation. What really happens is your authentic desires emerge. Your drive becomes more genuine, sustainable, and aligned with your true nature. I tried meditation before and couldn't quiet my mind. This practice doesn't require you to quiet your mind. You're simply observing thoughts, not trying to stop them. The noise in your mind is part of the observation. It's not an obstacle. What if I discover things about myself I don't like? This is a common fear, but what you typically discover is that the things you don't like about yourself are usually programmed patterns, not your authentic nature. As awareness grows, self-judgment naturally decreases. Can this work if I'm not spiritual or into quantum physics? Absolutely. While we use these concepts to explain the process, the practice itself is practical and grounded. It works because it's based on direct experience, not belief. What if I'm too far gone in programming? No one is too far gone. Remember, programming is like software running on the hardware of consciousness. No matter how many programs are running, the consciousness beneath remains pure and accessible. How do I know if this is working? The signs are subtle but clear. Increased energy, better sleep, clearer decisions, more authentic relationships, and a growing sense of peace with yourself. You'll notice you're less reactive and more responsive to life. You've now received profound knowledge about how your mind has been used against you and, more importantly, how to reclaim it. But knowledge without action remains merely information. Let's turn this into transformation. Start today with these simple steps. Take 5 minutes right after watching this video to sit in quiet observation of your thoughts. Notice them arise without judgment. This small step begins your journey of mental sovereignty. For the next week, practice the reset technique whenever you remember. Each conscious pause weakens old programming and strengthens your authentic awareness. Share your experience in the comments below. What programming patterns did you notice? What shifted when you became the observer? Your insights might help others recognize their own paths to freedom. Subscribe to this channel for more insights into consciousness, transformation, and authentic living. Click the notification bell to ensure you don't miss our next exploration of higher awareness. Remember, your mind is meant to be your ally, not your prison. Each moment of conscious awareness is a step toward freedom. Each observation breaks another link in the chain of programming. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your step begins now. Thank you for being part of this exploration of consciousness. Until next time, stay aware and stay sovereign.